Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Fan Fatales. I'm Emma.
And I'm Gabby, and this week we're going to continue with our Halloween Spooktacular, and unfortunately, this is the last episode for this year.
But we'll be back.
Yes, we definitely will.
This is an annual thing.
Absolutely. We will definitely be doing this again next year. And this episode is, we're going to be talking about some classic horror / thriller flicks. I mean, we're only talking about 3 of the classics because we got to save some for next year.
Yes.
Plus, we just didn't have time.
Yeah, we didn't have time. So the movies that we are going to be covering, these classics, are going to be The Shining, Halloween, and Silence of the Lambs.
Yes. Now, as always, we will be discussing our opinions on these movies. So be warned, spoilers ahead.
Shall we get started?
That was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Really quick before we get started, I'm wearing my really cute, really soft and cozy Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger sweater. It's pre-ripped.
We were supposed to.
We were supposed to, but I'll talk a little bit about it. And I'm also
I'll talk a little bit about Friday the 13th.
There we go. I'm also drinking some very nice hot cocoa out of a Shining mug that I got last year at Halloween, at Spirit. And it says, "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy," which is very true. Yes. So speaking of The Shining, let's get into it.
Gonna do my
go ahead.
Dark red blood-looking ice that I'm drinking. I'm drinking a knockoff ice, and it is black raspberry flavored.
It looks like something that would have gotten dumped on Carrie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, speaking of blood and Carrie, hey, Blood, The Elevators of Blood, and then Carrie, also a Stephen King book.
There we go.
Making the connections to The Shining.
So last week we covered Dr. Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining, and now we're covering The Shining.
And The Shining is like one of my favorite movies, like top 5 favorite movies, you guys. Like, I love this movie so much. It's unbelievable how much I love this movie. So the synopsis is, a family heads into an isolated hotel for the winter where a sinister presence influences the father into violence, while his psychic son sees horrific where does that say? Forebodings? My cursor was in the way. Forebodings from both past, present, and future. It was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and the movie came out in 1980. The cast includes Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance, Shelley Duvall as Wendy Torrance, Danny Lloyd as Danny, and Scatman Crothers as Dick Halloran. Fun fact about Dick Halloran, or Scatman Crothers, he also played Scat Cat in the Aristocats.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the Aristocats came out first, actually.
I think so.
By like a year. But like, yeah, I always think that's an interesting
1970 fact. Is when Aristocats came out.
Oh, by like 10 years. Okay, yeah.
So
I wonder who at like Stanley Kubrick's estate was like, who's the voice of that cat? Yes, we need him in this movie. Who was like, whose voice is that? I like it. Yes. Yeah. But anyway, so some other fun facts about this movie is that for the scene when Jack breaks down the bathroom door, the props department had actually built a door that could easily be broken down, which is what happens in like most horror movies. However, Jack Nicholson was a volunteer fire marshal, and he literally like shredded the like weak door. Like, literally shredded. It's nuts. Like, he just hacked into it like it was nothing. So then, the props department actually built, like, a real door. Like, they just put a real door. Yeah. They were like, well, we gotta. Jack Nicholson is gonna tear anything else apart. Like, too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at that point, it's just, like, not even scary. You're just like, whoa, whoa. Hacking down that door, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah. And another fun fact is that to get Jack Nicholson in the right agitated mood when he was chasing around Danny and Wendy, he was only fed cheese sandwiches for 2 weeks, and he hates cheese sandwiches.
I thought that was interesting when I was trying to find some fun facts.
I think that's a very good one. I also have a few other little fun facts in my notes, but we'll get there as we talk about them.
I mean, same with me in Halloween.
Yeah,
so.
We'll get there. I know way too much about this movie. Not as much as
Same
you know
with
about Halloween.
But that's because my dad has been obsessed with it since, I don't even know when.
Since forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love this movie so much. I don't mind knowing all this stuff about it. It's great. Anyway, so I have to know, who is your favorite character in this movie?
Okay, so, last week it was Danny, and this week it's Danny.
Danny's a pretty solid character.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah. I love him. I also, just because, I knew we were going to be gushing about Danny pretty much a lot of this, I wanted to talk about Wendy a little bit and just how awesome she is. And, Shelley Duvall as an amazing actress went through, hell and back to make this film. According to all of the, articles that I've read about it, Stanley Kubrick put her through, some really intense, physical and emotional stuff to get through this film. Yeah. They had to do 127 takes of one scene. Yeah. I don't know exactly which scene because it just said the baseball bat scene. And I'm like, okay, first of all, there are multiple baseball bat scenes. Hold on.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they made 127 takes of one scene. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So this was the last film she was ever in.
Yeah.
Because of what Kubrick did to her, which I think is a shame, but also good for her for doing what she needs to do for herself, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We love her.
Love her. She's great. Plus, she's such a good mom in this movie.
Oh my gosh, she is.
Actually, she just wants what's best for Danny, and I love that for her. And for him. I love that. She's just great.
And I was, looking over your notes a little bit, earlier.
Aww.
And I agree. Whatever she was opening in that can was huge.
Right? I don't know what it was, but that can was enormous. So we're talking about the scene in the kitchen when, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's when Danny's first exploring the hotel. Wendy's in the kitchen, making dinner or something. And she's using this giant industrial can opener. And this can, I swear, is a 2-gallon can. It's huge.
Yes, it is.
It's enormous. Okay, how many canned peaches do you need for a pie? I mean, it makes sense when you're cooking for a whole hotel's worth of people. But for 3 people, it's come on, what a waste of a can.
I know.
I don't know. That was awful.
Come on, Wendy.
Yeah. So I tried so hard to watch the commentary over this movie. Because I purchased the movie on iTunes a number of years ago because I love this movie so much. And in the extras, there is a commentary version of the film where they literally just make commentary over the entire film. And I got through about 10 minutes of it before I got so irritated. I was just so agitated. I was like, oh my gosh, will you shut up for 5 seconds so I can watch the movie? So I don't like commentaries, I've realized. But the one thing that I did learn from it is really cool is that the exterior of the Overlook is at the Timberline Lodge in Oregon.
Ooh.
So you can go visit it in Oregon. I don't know where, but it's in Oregon. They said the interiors was comprised of a bunch of different places, mainly they said that they had to rebuild a bunch of it in the UK for some reason. I can't remember exactly why.
Interesting.
But they rebuilt some of the hallways and stuff there to do pickup shots in the UK. But I do not remember exactly what part of the country the inside was. I know there is a hotel that the inside is based off of, but I just don't remember.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. But it's really odd because I feel like the outside and the inside like match up perfectly.
Yeah, same.
Like it looks like it was all filmed in the same place.
Well, and I recently found out that they didn't film all of the school and High School Musical in the same school.
No. What?
The theater scenes are another high school theater nearby that has a giant theater department that has more money to the theater department. I found that out, this podcast called Meddling Adult, or no, what is it called? It's by the guy that made Potterless.
Oh.
So, but he just came out with a new podcast. I'm gonna find the name of it. It's gonna bother me. But he's basically answering these stupid pop culture questions, but as if they're the most important question of his life.
I love
to
that.
answer. So the episode was about whether the high school budget made sense for small town Arizona.
No, absolutely not.
No.
It's not Arizona, it's New Mexico.
Or New Mexico, wherever.
You're like, I don't know the West Coast.
I don't know the West Coast, and it's also real late.
So, while you're looking for that, I'm going to talk about this other thing that I think is really interesting about this film, is that, you know, when Danny's in the hallway and he comes across the quote-unquote twins?
Yes.
So, like, everybody always calls them the twins, and in the movie, they look like twins, but they're actually not. They're actually sisters.
Interesting.
Yeah, in the book, I had to look back in my book. And now I can't remember if this is right or not. But I'm pretty sure in the book, one of them is 8 and one of them is 10.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a little thing that I remembered. See, here's the thing. I really like the book, but the book is way scarier than the movie. Because in the book, when Danny is like talking to Tony, you know, when he like passes out, you actually like you get to read what Danny is experiencing, and it is nuts. And for some reason, I know in the book they describe like Tony looking like sort of like a person, but like in my head, I just picture like a finger. Just like a disembodied finger just like bouncing around instead of like an actual person. Which makes it 100 times creepier.
It does.
So, yeah, I think that's a really stupid, like, thing, but, like, yeah. That's my little spiel about that.
It's called Modern Muckraker. That's the name of the podcast. Finally found it. But yeah, so the first episode was when would it be opportune for Spider-Man to take the subway rather than web swinging across New York.
That's fair.
And then the next one is the budget of East High from High School Musical realistic for a public school in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But the crazy thing is he's like interviewing these like really high qualified people to answer these stupid questions.
I love that. I think it's great.
So like subway conductors and like actual school board members in New Mexico and like people that went to that high school that they filmed it at.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yes, it just started coming out and it's amazing. I love this.
Absolutely gonna watch that.
Yes.
Or listen to it, yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, back to this.
Yes.
I don't really know. So
what's your favorite moment? Right.
That's a thing. We have those talking points.
Yeah.
I forgot about those. Okay. Here's the thing. I like it's like a love-hate relationship. I love it, but I don't at the same time. But I really love it, you know? So it's like the whole scene where Danny and Wendy are in their room and Wendy is like trying to take a nap and Danny's doing the whole red rum thing and he's trying to match the lipstick to the blood on the knife. And then when he matches it, he writes the red rum on the door.
Yeah.
I love that. And then he's sitting there and he's just screaming red rum over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I also love Here's Johnny.
I mean, duh.
It's iconic. You can't not.
I knew it before watching the Shining.
It's literally iconic. Hacking down the door, her screaming, him hacking down the door, putting his face through the hole and yelling, going, Here's Johnny. Exactly. Although, I never understood why he said, Here's Johnny, if his name is Jack. Although I've heard that Jack is also a nickname for John. But, like, John is a nickname for Jonathan? Yeah. You good?
No.
No, she died, guys. She just, like, her brain exploded. Hold on. Let's see.
I'm just going to put my hair. Well,
aha, I see. His full name is John Daniel Edward Torrance. So I guess Jack is a nickname for John? I don't know.
Is Jack a nickname for John?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Why is Jack a nickname for John?
I don't know.
No, that's literally like the origins of 10 nicknames. And that was like one of the questions.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
This is important.
Yeah. The only reason I know about that. Yeah. The only reason I know about that is because, oh shoot, what's that one YouTuber?
Okay, so I found out why, so I'll let you.
What's his name? Jack Douglas? Is that the YouTuber?
I don't know.
Who does? Okay, hold on. Now I gotta look something up. Oh, sorry, Kara, this kind
of
sucks.
So while you're looking that up, I'll explain why is Jack from John that nickname?
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
The name Jack dates back to about 1200 and was originally used as a generic name for peasants. Over time, Jack worked his way into words such as lumberjack and steeplejack. And it retains the generic essence of the word Jack. Of course, John was once used as a generic name for English commoners and peasants, John Doe, which could be why Jack came, because his nickname.
Interesting. Doesn't make sense to me. I was talking about Jack's Films, the YouTuber. That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole thing, like, where his followers figured out that his real name is John, and they started roasting him about it. And I remember that. So, that's why I remember that. Fun fact. So, now that we settled that, what's your favorite moment?
Even though I found it weird while watching, I think one of my favorite moments was to be when Danny and Dick are having the whole talk about the shine in the beginning and not to go into room 237.
Mm-hmm. When Dick is like,
and the kid is just like, okay.
Yeah. When Dick is like, oh, I only knew one other person who could shine, and that was my grandma. We could sit and have conversations without even moving our mouths. That one?
Yeah, that one.
That's a good one.
So what's your least favorite moment?
Okay. Not that it's my least favorite. Well, yeah, I guess it is my least favorite. Not that I don't like it, because I do like it. I feel like it's very, very important in the whole, like, hotel taking over Jack's body and soul and possessing him and whatever. It's really important. I think this is like a whole turning point in the movie. I'll get into it in a minute. This is my own theory. Like, I did not read this anywhere. If I did, if it's like similar to another theory, sorry, but this is my thoughts about it. But anyway, like, I don't love the whole, like, room 237 sequence with Jack.
Okay.
Like, when he goes in there, and then there's, like, the lady in the tub, and then she comes out, and then they start making out, and then she, like, starts to, like, decompose.
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. That's really gross.
I don't like that. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I also didn't like when he cut the radio. To the police station, radio, whatever.
The radio.
Yeah.
I think it's really cute when Wendy's talking on the radio and she does the over and out.
I know.
She gets like,
oh, I love her.
She's just great. Wendy's just the best. So, my theory about this whole 237 sequence is that when Jack and the ghosty old / young / zombie decomposed lady, I don't even know, when they are kissing, that's the hotel, that's the hotel taking over Jack and starting to possess him, and that's he literally lets it in by doing that. That's what I think it is. So
yeah,
that's my little thing about it. And if that's similar to any theories, I'm sorry. That's what I think it is. That's my ideas. It's not too hard to think about that. I feel like that's a pretty basic idea. So, anyway. Also, okay, really quick. When Jack goes into the bathroom and he's talking to Grady, why are there no doors on the stalls?
Yeah, that was weird.
I was like, okay, I get it. You're in this weird, not really reality, but doors. You know?
Yeah.
Everybody needs some privacy when they poop. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Oh my gosh.
Am I embarrassing you yet? She says yes. So
I just remembered another fact about Halloween that I wanted to mention. So
go for it. Okay, so let's see. Okay, another thing really quick. Did you notice that Danny has a Mickey Mouse sweater on?
Yes.
And then, in the next scene, he's wearing this adorable little rocket sweater while he's playing with the trucks on the carpet.
Yes.
And I think whoever did those sweaters, 10 out of 10. Whoever chose those sweaters, whoever chose all of Danny's wardrobe, did a fantastic job. I don't know who specifically it was, but whoever it was, 10 out of 10. So, yeah. Speaking of Danny, in the scene when Wendy is carrying Danny and running from Jack, do you know the scene I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. When I watched it the other day, I was like, what the heck? Why can't I find the scene? I was watching it and I was like, where did it go? It's gone now. But I know there is a scene where Wendy is running from Jack carrying Danny. And in that scene, Shelley Duvall is actually holding a doll that was made to look like Danny Lloyd because they didn't want to scare the kid because he was 5 years old when they made this movie.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's carrying a doll. And if you if you just look at it, you can tell. You can tell. Badly.
I love and hate that.
I think it's great. I'm here for it. I'm just really glad that they didn't put the poor kid through that and scar him for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's just terrible. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, because they didn't want to scar him, Danny Lloyd didn't see the entire film until he was 16 years old. When he was a kid, they just showed him the parts that he was in, but not the whole parts. They just showed him some of it and part of the parts with the other actors, and they basically made a whole nother film that was a 30-minute version of the film, and it was set to look like a drama.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And he didn't watch the whole film until he was 16. And he was like, oh my gosh, wait a second. Those girls that I was playing with, like, on set that were my friends, like, they were actually dead. Like, they were dead in this movie? Like, what? It's like a whole thing. I think that's a great way to do it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, you know, when Danny does the little finger waggle when he's talking about Tony?
Yes.
Danny Lloyd invented that idea himself.
Oh.
Danny's not here, Mrs. Torrance. I love that. I love him. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Oh, okay. Last thing, and then we can move on to ratings and to the next one. But I think in the maze, you know, when Jack is running through the maze and he's chasing Danny, and there are these, like, parts where he, like, looks like he's arguing with himself, and I feel like you can really see, like, Jack on the inside trying to fight the hotel possessing him.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think, like, when he's, like, yelling for Danny, like, his emotions and, like, what he's saying don't really match up. So I feel like you can really, really tell that he's really trying. Like, Jack is still on the inside trying to fight through the hotel's possession. And I think that's epic. Yeah. Oh, another place where I just realized, another place where I think the hotel is, like, entering Jack's body is when he's at the bar and he's drinking. I think that's also part of
I agree.
And if you notice in Dr. Sleep, Danny doesn't drink at the bar.
Yeah.
And it takes him longer to, like, fall under the spell of the hotel. Maybe not longer, but, like, differently. It happens differently because of his shine rather than because the hotel is taking advantage of him. I think that's really cool. So anyway, I think I've hit on all my talking points. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
You can also kind of see the hotel taking control of Jack when he's at the typewriter and he's talking to Wendy and he's like, when you hear me typing on these keys, you don't bother me. Like, that whole thing when he's being kind of a jerk to her. When he's being really a jerk to her.
Kind of.
Yeah, he's really being a jerk to her. Like, that whole thing I think is very, very indicative of that whole thing. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Those are all my little fun facts. That's all. I love this movie. 10 out of 10. Don't even need to ask. I give it a 10 out of 10. 100% every day. All the time. 10 out of 10. Yes. Great movie. Go ahead.
I'm gonna raise it.
You're gonna give it a 10 out of 10 too?
Yes.
That was the dumbest face I've ever made.
And now I have it.
Forever.
I edit these.
But yeah, that should be a TikTok clip. Just me going. Okay, so we both give it a 10 out of 10. Heck yes. Halloween movies for the win. Do you know how many Halloween movies we've given a 10 out of 10? We need to, like, keep track of which movies we've rated 10 out of 10. This needs to be...
I want to make, like, a whole spreadsheet of, like, all the movies that we've rated in the past and see our ratings.
Yes. And then...
Because I think I rated Mother the lowest from last week.
I don't think so. I think you rated Spookly lower.
No. I re-looked at my Spookly score. It was, like, a 7.5, and my Mother score was, like, a 6.
Yeah, Mother was really bad. That movie was rough.
I was talking to my pastor about it. He's like, should I watch it? I was like,
no.
Don't.
Yeah. Anybody who asks me, I'm usually like, no.
Yeah. So, this next one, I've seen way too many times.
I just watched it for the first time, actually.
So, the Halloween franchise is my dad's favorite movie franchise of all time. this is his Star Wars or, like, Harry Potter level stuff.
Then maybe don't tell him to listen to this episode.
Okay.
Because I thought it was just okay. I was like, nah, not my fave.
The better, they get better as they go in the franchise.
We'll see. Maybe we'll talk about sequels. Maybe we'll do a whole episode just about sequels next year.
I mean, the sequel, well, we can't for Shining.
No, we already talked about it.
We'll talk about it later.
There's Carrie 2. Carrie 2 exists. I've seen the trailer. It looks awful. I think we need to watch it.
Just like Mother.
Yeah.
I think it's awful. Let's watch it. But anyway, like, this movie, I remember a lot when I was coming home from high school, like, in the month of October, it was just on. It was either this or one of the other, like, 15 of the franchise.
There's literally, like, 100 Halloween movies.
I know, and one just came out last week, and my dad saw the midnight showing of it.
Yeah. Did he like it?
Like,
oh.
He did not like this one.
T.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Well, because this one, they finally, spoiler alert, but this is the one where they finally kill Michael.
Jesus, at that point, isn't he, like, in his 60s?
Exactly.
I'm like, come on. Okay, a guy, he may be insane. He may be a psycho murderer.
Can we go to the synopsis?
However, he's in his 60s. He's not going to keep killing people. Anyway, go ahead. Some of these choices just don't make sense to me. I think some of these choices are lame. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. So the synopsis is 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night, 1963, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois, to kill again. And the film was directed by John Carpenter, and it came out in 1978. And the cast includes Donald Pleasance as Loomis, Jamie Lee Curtis in her breakout role. This was her first movie ever, as Lori. PJ Souls as Linda, Nancy Kyes as Annie, Charles Cyphers as Sheriff Lee, Kyle Richards as Lindsay, and Brian Andrews as Tommy Doyle. Now, you may notice I didn't mention Michael Myers in that.
Yeah, because he's, barely even credited in this movie.
Well, he's credited as The Shape, first of all.
Lame.
Not even Michael Myers. Because they never say his name until the second one.
Oh, lame. Okay.
They say Michael in the beginning, but...
And then we know his last name is Myers because that's his family's name.
Yeah, but they still call him The Shape in this one.
Okay, lame. Okay.
But that's because Michael Myers / The Shape is played with 6 different actors in this film.
Oh my gosh!
We see him as a young child, and young child Michael is played by Will Sandon. In the first-person camera sequence when young Michael takes the knife from the kitchen, we see Michael's hand come on screen, and that is actually co-writer and producer Deborah Hill.
Okay, I had a feeling that was not a man. I was like, those look like women's hands. I was like, that is not a child or a man. That is a woman, 100%.
Yeah, it was Deborah Hill.
I knew it!
And then most of the scenes where he is just stalking around the town, it is adult Michael is played by Nick Castle. Then when he is briefly unmasked by Lori, barefaced Michael was Tony Moran. In addition, scenes where Michael was required to break through barriers or I don't know. Yeah, break through barriers.
Like walls, doors, windows.
Yeah, like walls, doors, windows, whatever. Were Tommy Lee Wallace. And then finally, for his climactic fall for the bedroom terrace, stuntman James Winburn donned the Michael Myers mask.
Lord! That is so many people.
Considering that this was an indie film that was filmed, next fact, in 20 days in the spring of 1978 in Pasadena and Hollywood, California.
Also, yes, go Pasadena. I love Pasadena. Pasadena's a great city. Rose Bowl.
It was made on a $300,000 budget.
That is amazing. That's impressive. Honestly, actually, hold on. I think I believe that.
Yeah.
I kind of believe it.
I think most of the budget was putting the leaves on the ground.
Right?
Because they had to put fake leaves.
I literally read this
everywhere.
I literally read this whole thing while I was watching the movie. Thank you, Amazon Trivia, where it was like, oh, they just reused the same, like, 300 painted leaves. And the leaves were, like, hand-painted leaves. And they were reused. Yes. They were used in the scene where Annie...
In every scene.
Yeah.
And also they were having trouble finding pumpkins because it was in the middle of spring in California.
And they were like, well...
So I'm sure that one pumpkin was used like 5 times.
Seriously. I was so sad when Tommy's pumpkin got smashed. I was like, oh. And
then a little fun fact, and this gets into one of the two mini stories that I have, is that the original Halloween, so the 1978 one that we're talking about, is what inspired Sean Cunningham, who is the director of Friday the 13th, to make the original one in 1980.
Hey!
Which brings me to the text message conversation I had with my dad for watching Friday the 13th.
Oh gosh,
today.
Here we go. Okay.
So I'm watching Friday the 13th right now. It's literally Halloween with camp counselors. He texts me, Emma. Friday the 13th is a cheap knockoff of the greatest motion picture and most influential film of all time.
Oh my god.
It is not Halloween with camp counselors.
Oh my god.
Halloween is an all-time classic.
Dad. Oh gosh. Oh.
I just had to have that conversation in here.
Gosh. Oh wow.
So the next one is so the sequel to this one is at a hospital, and they're taking Lori there to like get checked up after,
everything
that happens. So like he is killing people in the hospital this time around.
Ugh.
Yeah.
How morbid.
Yeah.
I've
only seen the first 2. We should see the now canon ones, which will bring me into a fun fact later.
Gosh, that's so many.
No, the only canon ones are the 2 new ones that came out last year and this year. Or 2 years ago and this year.
Okay, deal. But okay. I didn't think this movie was that good.
Yeah.
I've heard so many people rave about it. And yet...
My dad being one of those.
Yes, your dad being definitely one of those. I don't understand why Michael Myers is such the Halloween icon that he is. I get it. His movie is Halloween. However, unimpressed.
I agree. I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it was just okay.
So who is your favorite character?
Lori.
Yeah.
She's cool.
We always love our final girls.
Yeah. Although I do really like PJ Souls as Linda because I just really have a thing for PJ Souls. I love her because she played Norma and Carrie. And I played Norma and Carrie. So I have a very special bond with PJ Souls.
Yeah.
So I love her. She's great. But also, literally, I don't think I've ever seen Jamie Lee Curtis look that young.
I know. It blows my mind.
In my head, she just emerged as a fully grown adult.
Yeah. Because I had seen all the trailers for the new one that just came out.
Mm-hmm.
So, my mind was that
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah. not
like child.
Yeah, she's like our age.
She was the only one that was actually a teenager when filming Halloween.
I believe
of the teenage girls.
I believe it.
Of the 3.
I believe it. Yeah, absolutely, I believe it.
Yeah.
She looks like a baby.
She
literally is.
Yes.
No, yeah, it's like, what the heck? Like, you know, there are just some actors that you could never, like, imagine looking young. Like Johnny Depp.
You see, that's how I was gonna go.
Oh, where were you gonna go?
I was gonna go, what's her name?
Name some movies she's
Potts.
In. Oh, Angela Lansbury.
Yeah.
Yes, also her.
And Maggie Smith.
Also Maggie Smith.
Maggie Smith has always been a 60-year-old woman.
Yeah. And, like, Julie Andrews, like...
No.
No. Mary Poppins Julie Andrews and Princess Diaries Julie Andrews are 2 totally different people.
Yes.
They're not the same person. Like, Mary Poppins, Sound of Music, that is one Julie Andrews. And then, like, Princess Diaries and, like... Oh, what else has she done recently? That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. But, like, that Julie Andrews, totally different person. Yeah.
Also, young and old Carrie Fisher for Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Not so much.
Okay. For me, yes.
Okay. Shoot, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Oh!
Also, can we talk about how the one friend is a terrible babysitter?
Right? She's just awful. What I was going to say...
Like, letting the kid watch horror films.
I know! I mean, Lori was letting Tommy watch The Thing, too.
True.
Yeah.
But the friend was doing it so she could have sex.
Yeah.
With her boyfriend.
Which is also not cool.
No.
Can I backtrack for a hot second?
Yeah.
Okay, Jamie Lee Curtis looked like a baby, but her voice is exactly the same.
Yes.
Her voice has not changed in like 40 years.
I agree.
It is identical to how she sounded in Freaky Friday and how she sounded in the trailers for the new movie that just came out.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot that she's in Freaky Friday.
She plays the mom!
I know!
That's like the first introduction to Jamie Lee Curtis is Freaky Friday. At least for me.
Not for me!
Of course yours was Halloween. Your dad watched it all the time. But like...
Yes. To the point where I asked him this story earlier today, because I remember him telling me that he scared one of his friends by wearing a Michael Myers mask outside of their apartment one day. I found out more to that story.
Oh.
It was my mom's roommate when my mom did the Disney college program.
Shut up.
While they were, like, before they had started dating.
Do they even, like, know each other?
Yes, because they worked at Disney on the same attraction.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But he, like, just, like, I guess, like, their favorite movie together, because he and her were, like, really good friends.
Uh-huh.
They both really liked Halloween.
Aww.
And he was like, I'm going to scare my friend on Halloween night.
That's
and
terrifying.
He showed up in his Michael Myers mask that he still, like, has to this day.
From the
and
80s.
Bring out every Halloween. From, like, the 90s.
Okay, still. It's a miracle it's held up that long.
Still.
The 90s were 30 years ago.
More. He's probably gotten more at this
Probably.
point. Love you, Dad.
We're just sitting here roasting your dad, and you're like, love you! And, like, roasting his favorite movie, and he's like...
Yeah.
He's gonna hate me after this. He's like, I don't want to meet her, ever.
I roast it to his face, though. So, but yeah.
We're gonna be at your
Speaking
wedding.
of-
He's gonna be like, so Gabby, I heard you don't like Halloween.
you come up in June?
I know. He's gonna be like, so. This is just making me giggle.
So speaking of, well, what a favorite moment, and then I'll go into the other fun fact that's like a really long and convoluted thing.
Okay.
That they, yeah.
So
what's your favorite moment?
I don't really have like a moment. I just really like watching Lori babysit Tommy. I think she's a really good babysitter.
Yeah.
I think it's really sweet.
I really like the moment with Dr. Loomis where and Lori at the very end, and she's like, "Is that the boogeyman?" He goes, "As a matter of fact, it was."
Mm-hmm. And then he looks out the window and he's gone.
Yes, and he's gone.
Yeah, that's a little terrifying. That was like a little bone chilling. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about that one.
Man just got shot.
Yeah. Like multiple times.
And he gone.
Yeah. You know what he kind of reminds me of?
What?
He kind of reminds me of that one character from, oh gosh, what was that book called? Oh gosh, Of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
The one who kills the wife on accident. Curly?
Oh, yeah, Curly.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of that.
I'm about to do a very derogatory thing about Of Mice and Men. Now that we brought up Of Mice and Men, I just need to figure out which one he played. No, Lenny.
That
but
one.
But Curly is the wife. Or Curly is the husband. Yeah, but Curly is the husband of the wife that got killed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't read that book since I was in like 7th grade. Okay, it's been a long time.
So there's a movie on it that came out in
a long time
1992.
Ago. Yeah. Oh, that's not that long ago, actually.
And John Malkovich played Lenny.
Uh-huh.
My government teacher in high school was Coach Malkovich.
Was it John Malkovich?
His uncle was John Malkovich.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, like, Of Mice and Men was, like, really big in my school because, you know, John Malkovich is the uncle to my government teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But
have you seen that movie, Being John Malkovich?
I have not, but it's about him.
Yes, and Jake Gyllenhaal's in it. And it is, like, the biggest, like, mind F of a movie. It is so weird.
Yeah.
Is that what that movie's called?
Yeah, it's called Being John Malkovich.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a weird movie. Zach and I watched it one time and I was like, what the F is this movie? It literally...
I haven't seen it.
It is so bizarre. Like, okay, so basically, what happens? Oh, is it John Cusack? No, it is John Cusack.
No, it's John Malkovich.
No. John Cusack is the main character, not Jake Gyllenhaal. I thought it was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay, well...
No, okay, it's John Cusack.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm done now. Go ahead.
Okay. So, speaking of Lori and Michael, there's a long history in the Halloween canon on whether these two are brother and sister.
No.
Yes.
No.
And I am reading this from Andrew Rosberry, who is PhD Film and Media from Regent University School of Communication.
No, I don't like this already.
In the first film, Michael has no relation to Lori. The brother-sister relationship is introduced in Halloween 2.
Lame. Anything introduced in a sequel should not be considered canon.
I'm going to be reading this whole thing. In the first Halloween 1978 film, Laurie Strode's father is a realtor and is trying to sell the house that Michael and his family used to live in. He asks Laurie to drop off the keys to the house on her way to school, and Michael, who has broken into the house, is hiding there, sees Laurie walk up to the door, drop off the keys, and walk off. From Michael's perspective, Lori did not appear to be frightened of the scary abandoned house, and Michael hears her tell this to Tommy, who is scared of the house and says it's haunted. For whatever reason, this seems to fascinate Michael, and Lori becomes the subject of his pursuit. And as to why Michael is following a person whom he does not know and has no relation to, as per the first film, is part of the film's mystery. But I would argue that it's Lori's fearlessness that Michael sees and becomes obsessed with. Lori tells Tommy that the boogeyman is not real, and even when the boogeyman becomes real in the form of Michael, Lori still remains fearless and fights against him.
Can I interject for a second?
Yes.
Okay, Lori not being afraid of the Myers house is very similar to in To Kill a Mockingbird when Scout is not afraid of the Radley house. That's what it made me think of. That's what it was. Go ahead.
That's all I want to say from this article because it doesn't really go into it.
Okay.
I'm going to go now into the information that my dad provided.
Of course, because your dad is like your resident
Thank you, John Register.
Thanks, John.
Here's Johnny.
Oh my gosh.
In the sequel, 1981, it is revealed to Dr. Loomis that Michael and Judith Myers are actually Lori's biological siblings. And she was put up for adoption after the death of their parents, which was like in a car crash unrelated to Michael.
Okay.
We don't care. With the records sealed to protect Lori's new family. Mm-hmm. In Halloween 2018, however, this is retconned because Lori was supposed to die in Halloween Resurrection, but Curtis reprised her role. So then they basically ignored every single previous sequel that had come out from 1979 on in 2018.
They're like, nah, doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Retcon.
It is now a direct sequel to the original 78 film, which is why I'm saying that we should just do the canon ones and do 2018 and 2020.
Okay, deal.
Yeah. Also, their homecoming was really late.
Right?
November 1st.
So late.
So then again, my sister's homecoming is literally that same week. Or is the weekend after this year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
When is homecoming that late? Homecoming should be in September.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, why is it in November?
I don't know.
Because I was like, oh, are they having a Halloween dance? That was the first thing I know. But then it's revealed that it's homecoming.
I don't know about that. Can I talk about something that really bugged me?
What?
Loomis, when he's parked at the hospital and he's talking to the doctor about them letting Michael out or him escaping or whatever, he's parked in a handicap spot.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I got so upset. I was like, why is he parked in a handicap spot? He doesn't have a handicap plate. He doesn't have a handicap placard. He doesn't need to be in the handicap spot. Why is he there? I was really upset.
Yeah, Dr. Loomis is one of those characters that is like Dumbledore who just keeps information from everyone.
He's kind of a jerk, too.
Yeah. Can we just talk about how the nurse is not terrified when, he keeps on referring to Michael as it?
Yeah.
It's
a tactic. Clarice mentions it in Silence of the Lambs. It's a tactic so that way he doesn't have to make it like a person. It's separate. Yeah. It's not, you don't have to acknowledge that it's a person with feelings. Anyway, back to this movie.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of that, my least favorite moment is Loomis being like, hey, yo, don't tell the town this, even though there's a mass murderer on the loose, a serial killer on the loose.
Yeah. He's like, we don't want people freaking out, and then they're going to see him on every corner, and then it's not going to be real. And I'm like, maybe he is on every corner. Yeah. But, he did look really pleased when he scared the kids away from the house.
He did.
He looked like he's so happy. He was just like, I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. I had to pause it. I was like, give me a second. I thought it was adorable, but also awful at the same time.
Yeah. Since he's the boogeyman, could he be not real?
I think
like,
it'd be really...
Or not real, but, like...
Paranormal?
Yeah, like, paranormal.
I think that'd be kind of interesting.
I think that would be more interesting than, like, the sibling thing. Or anything.
Way more interesting.
Like, he is the real embodiment of the boogeyman, not just Dr. Loomis is saying, so.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. Plus, then, like...
There we go, we just fixed the plot of my dad's favorite
Totally
movie.
fixed. Because then, like, think about it. Like, anytime, like, Tommy looks out the window and then Laurie looks out the window and he's gone, it's because Laurie doesn't believe in him and Tommy does. Right? It could be like a Santa Claus thing.
Or even the friends.
Yeah.
When she's walking and she sees him for the first time.
Yeah. Exactly. I think a lot of it could be explained if it's just that.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a lot better. Take that, John. We fixed
John
your movie.
Carpenter and John Register.
That was
also the nurse got to survive.
Yeah.
Like, lucky her.
Good for her. She's probably scarred.
Because that like toe guy did not.
Life.
The toe guy did not get to live.
No.
No.
Okay. So my least favorite moment. I very much did not like the beginning. I have an irrational fear of clowns. Like, extremely irrational. Like, Zach and I were watching... I
completely forgot.
Like, Zach and I were watching Halloween Cutthroat Kitchen, and Alton Brown was dressed as a clown for the whole episode. I couldn't watch it. That's how scared of clowns I am. That clown mask, did not like it. Like, made my skin crawl. I do not like it at all. Like, I will never watch it. Like, we used to have this shirt at work where, like, Pennywise...
we should watch it next time.
No! Are you trying to scar me? No. At work, we used to have this shirt.
You said it in your notes somewhere here.
Yeah, it's literally F that clown mask. Yeah.
No, not that.
Oh, that one.
Maybe watching all these horror movies will get over your fear of horror films.
Okay, I'm pretty much over my fear of horror films. I just don't do clowns. I hate clowns. They are terrifying.
Also, the first stabbing was done by, like, them stabbing a watermelon. That was the noise.
You can tell.
Yes.
It's pretty bad.
That's why I was like, oh, this isn't as scary as I remember.
I know, you were like, just be warned, it's a little scary. And I watched it and I was like, this is scary? I was laughing. I was like, this is...
No, I said that and then I watched it. I was like, oh, never mind.
I was like, this is hilarious. I was waiting for it to be like totally gruesome and awful. And I was just like...
No, Friday the 13th is worse.
Okay.
Honestly,
your Nightmare on Elm Street is worse.
Okay. But, like, so I noticed that you had a comment about, the knife.
Yes.
And Bob.
Yes. Okay.
They do that with a bow and arrow, like an arrow from a bow and arrow in Friday the 13th. The sword is more realistic than that.
No. Like, okay. There is one knife in the middle of his body. He would not be hung up like that, completely straight up. He would be slumped over. Rigor mortis hasn't even set in yet. Rigor mortis doesn't set in for like at least 24 hours. I know it's probably more than that, but I'm pretty sure it's like at least 24 hours. Like...
But I'm saying that he was hauled out by a arrow, from a bow and arrow, this guy, in Friday the 13th.
Both have very large flaws in their logic.
Yeah.
No, like, seriously. Okay, really quick, that was my least favorite part. I hated when he killed all of them. Also, especially when he killed Annie, and she was in the bed, and he put his sister's tombstone, like, at her head. That was awful.
Yeah.
That was actually horrifying. But, anyway, like, my problem is that knife, that little knife, barely jammed in there. Like, it was barely long enough to actually hit the wall behind him. And, like, let's be honest, that wall it was the 70s. It was probably like drywall or something. So it wasn't going to be like holding him up. Like the wall probably would have crumbled just from being stabbed with the knife. Like, I have so many issues with that. I don't like it at all. I was like, I am ripping this to shreds. I was like, all of the logic is getting yanked out of this one. Yep. I was like, who greenlit that one?
John Carpenter making his low-budget film.
I mean, it's fine, but, like, it's not fine.
With his stabbing sounds of a watermelon.
And I can't even keep a straight face about it. It's just like, oh, gosh.
That was like half the fun facts were about like the stabbing sounds.
Was that it was just water? You can kind of tell.
You can.
Like it sounds like they're just like cutting an apple. Just a little bit. And she's gone. I think this is a great place to take a break for a minute. We're going to take a break, recompose ourselves. We're going to rate this really quick before we go on that break. What do you rate it?
It's basic. Like, where is it? I'm going to lower it. Sorry, Dad.
She said sorry.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Yes.
Okay, John, don't hate me. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. 6.5. 7. I'll give it a 7. I don't want your dad to completely hate my guts. So I'm going to give it a 7. There you go, John. 7 for you.
Wait, I want to look up the run. Oh, I just covered the I want to look up the Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie.
That's a good idea. We should be comparing these to the Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Well, now we are.
Too late.
Now we are for
the last two. What?
I want you to guess what the critic score and what the audience score is.
I think the critic score is like a
critic score
80%.
Okay.
And the audience score is like a 90.
You want to hear the actual ones?
Go for it.
And 96% for the critic score.
Okay.
And then 89% for the audience
Oh,
score.
I had it flipped.
Yeah.
But they're both...
And then I'll look up The Shining real quick.
They're both pretty close.
I'll look up The Shining.
Okay.
Just so we can start doing it.
We can compare.
19. What do you think it is for The Shining?
I think audience score... I think critic score... like 97.
Okay.
Audience score 85.
Wow.
Again?
Kind of. 84 for the critic score.
Dang.
And 93 for the audience.
Okay. But I give it 100%, so take that, Rotten Tomatoes.
And then I'm just going to get the next one up.
Yeah. So we're going to take that break. We're going to compose ourselves. I'm going to take a pee break. We'll be back. Anyway. So we're back from that little break.
What did you do during that little break?
I went pee. That's it. Oh, my mom was watching Great British Bake Off without me, and I got kind of salty.
No.
I know. She said, that's the only thing that's on. And I said, find something else. And she said, no. And I said, oh. So, I know. I'm pretty salty. What about you? Let me guess. You scrolled on Instagram.
No.
Pinterest.
No.
TikTok.
No.
Okay. What are you watching?
It's nothing. So, I've been playing Hogwarts Mystery.
Oh my god. Not this again. Y'all, I was on the phone with Emma the other day, and she literally was talking about this for like 20 minutes. No, I'm serious.
Wait, what? You cut out.
No, you were on the phone with me the other day, and you were talking about Hogwarts Mystery for like 20 minutes.
Okay, it wasn't that long.
It was like 20 minutes.
It was definitely not.
It definitely was.
It's a stupid game. I don't know why I play it.
Maybe we should get back to reviewing some movies.
Okay. You want to do the synopsis of this last film?
So that way you can keep playing your Hogwarts Mystery?
No.
She put it down and said no. Sure, I'll do the synopsis.
This is why we shouldn't start at midnight.
Serious. Okay, let's go.
It is 1:30.
Oh my god. We're almost done. So.
I'm so glad we aren't covering the other two.
Right? We'd be here forever. So. The last movie that we're going to talk about tonight is The Silence of the Lambs. The synopsis is a young FBI cadet must receive the help of an incarcerated and manipulative cannibal to help catch another serial killer, a madman who skins his victims. Ba ba ba! So, it was directed... Okay, so... It was directed by Jonathan Demme. It came out in 1991. So this is actually the earliest, this is like the most recent of like all of what I consider to be like the classic horror films. I think the oldest is Carrie. Oh. Yeah. Like the 80s slashers. Carrie is the oldest, and then Silence of the Lambs is the newest.
Yeah.
Then the cast includes Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling, Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, Scott Glenn as Jack Crawford, Ted Levine as James Buffalo Bill Gum, Anthony Held as Dr. Frederick Chilton, Brooke Smith as Catherine Martin, and Diane Baker as U.S. Senator Ruth Martin. And, fun fact about Brooke Smith, she was in Grey's Anatomy. She played Dr. Erica Hahn
of course she was.
in Grey's Anatomy. And I dressed up as Meredith Grey for work today, and I looked so stinking cute. Even though nobody knew who I was, it made me really happy. So, that's...
I dressed up in Hufflepuff robes today.
Yeah, it was really cute, y'all. If you didn't check out Emma's Instagram, go check it out. It's on there. It's really cute.
Also, I posted a TikTok video, like, vlog thing.
Oh, yeah. That was cute, too.
So some fun facts about this film are with 24 minutes and 52 seconds of screen time, Sir Anthony Hopkins' performance in this movie is the second shortest to ever win an Academy Award for Best Actor in a Lead Role, with David Niven in Separate Tables, 1958, beating him at 23 minutes and 39 seconds.
Which I think is, like, nuts. Yeah. And
then, in preparation for his role, Sir Anthony Hopkins studied files of serial killers. Also, he visited prisons and studied convicted murderers and was present during some court hearings concerning gruesome murderers and serial killers.
Honestly, I would do that.
I used to be a criminology major. I did that.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Which also, so when she says that she's a criminology double major with psychology, that's very common with criminology.
I believe it.
Most everyone, like Sean was like one of the exceptions that I knew of criminology majors that didn't. Like if you were going into law, you didn't, which is what Sean's doing. But like everyone else did double major psych and
criminology. Yeah. I mean, I'm just a psych major.
Pre-law, crim track. Yeah.
But that's because I'm going to be an MFT, not because I'm going into criminal law or therapy or criminal psychology. Although I'd totally be down to do that. I think it'd be really interesting. Anyway.
Yeah. The theories are pretty interesting from what I remember.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
I can't name off any of them off the top of my head.
That's okay.
Nor would I want to.
That's okay.
This late hour. So who's your favorite character?
Clarice. Come on.
Of course.
She's such a badass.
Yes.
Literally, okay.
So this was my first time watching it, like, less than 24 hours ago.
I literally just finished it, like, 15 minutes before we started.
For your first time?
Oh, no, I've seen it before.
Oh, I hadn't. Fun fact, and I actually noticed this is actually bringing up one of your notes, is I always thought it was a horror film.
Yeah, right?
And so over the summer when I was an RA in a different building, one of the RAs, this is like one of her favorite movies, so she was trying to get us all like in a room to watch it for like, movie night. And I was like, no, I'm not really into horror films, and didn't go.
Yeah, it's literally not even that scary.
No.
No, I think of it more as like a 2-hour episode of like gory, nasty Law and Order.
Yeah.
I think the only reason it's rated R is because of the like nudity and the language.
Yeah. I think that is too.
And like the violence. It's pretty violent. But like, you know what?
It is. It's
not that scary. Yes, Hannibal Lecter eats some guy's face off. For like
that was probably
2 minutes. That's it.
That's my least favorite moment.
Yeah.
Getting ahead of ourselves. But yeah, that was my least favorite.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if that's what I wrote, but that's my least favorite moment.
I kind of like it though. I'll get into why I kind of like it though. Not that.
That is not what I put, but I also agree with what you said, which is what I said same.
We'll get there. So, okay. The reason I like when Hannibal escapes his lockdown, this is getting into my favorite moment, by the way, is because I love that he escapes and the way he escapes. He's just so freaking smart.
He is.
Because he is a doctor of psychology. Like, he's so smart. And he toys with everybody's minds. Every single one of those cops thought they knew what was going on. They thought they had it down packed. They thought they read him like a book. And he just turned the tables on them and went, ha ha ha, no. He said, you're wrong and you're stupid and I'm gone already. Like, that hurt. Anyway, I just think I think he's a very smart guy.
So my favorite moment, to try to get us to stay on topic, is when Clarice graduates from the FBI Academy and then gets that phone call being like, I have no intention of pursuing you. Please don't do that to me.
Yes.
She's like, psych.
Yes. And then, like, he just, like, walks away. And he blends into the crowd. And it's like, ooh, you never know when he's going to pop back up again.
Yeah. Did they ever make sequels to this?
There was a book that was a prequel, I believe.
That's not a sequel. That's a prequel.
Or a sequel? I can't remember. I know there's a book about it. There's a book called Hannibal. And it's either the prequel or the sequel to Silence of the Lambs. I can't remember.
Oh, wait. I need to keep Rotten Tomatoes up.
Oh, yeah.
Hannibal. Oh, there's a Hannibal movie.
Oh, there you go.
And a TV show.
And there's a new TV show coming out, or if it hasn't already come out, called Clarice. And it's about Clarice.
So the TV show... Let's see.
Which one, Hannibal or Clarice?
Hannibal. I'm trying to see if there's anyone. Wait, no. In the cast. Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal Lecter.
Who?
I don't know, but that name sounds familiar. Let's look at you.
Okay. So, the TV show Clarice, I don't know if it's coming out this year or if it's already come out. But it's basically about the personal story of Clarice after the events of Silence of the Lambs. It takes place about a year after the events of Silence of the Lambs. And I would totally watch that. Like, you're telling me that there's, like, way more content with Clarice in it, I'm down. Fun fact, I have an aunt named Clarice.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's just a little thing.
So he is Galen Erso in Rogue One, is what we would know. Mads Mikkelsen. He's her father.
Oh, yeah.
But in the new Fantastic Beasts movies, he is taking over as Velvet Grindelwald.
Don't like it. It should be Johnny Depp.
It should be. But
that's a whole nother topic.
We'll get into that
We'll talk about it next week. Yeah. So, okay. There is this one scene that I really do not like. And it is when Clarice is leaving the asylum for the first time and Miggs is in his cell. He lures Clarice in, and Miggs lures Clarice in, and he's like, "Oh, I bit my wrist because of you and blah blah blah." And he throws his bodily fluids on her, and it is absolutely disgusting. I think that is the one part that I'm like, oh my gosh, appalled.
That is one of my least favorite moments. The other one is when he eats the guy's face.
I don't think it's that bad. Emma's looking at me like I'm nuts. I don't think it's that bad. I also really don't like when they're examining the girl's body when she was in the river and she's all swollen and gross, decomposed.
Yeah.
That's also very gross.
It is.
But okay, going back to the Miggs thing, I feel like he totally got what was coming for him, because Lecter literally didn't even lay a hand on him. Just by talking to him, he made Miggs bite his own tongue off and then choke on it.
Yeah.
What kind of psychological torment is that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine being tormented by somebody so much that you bite your own tongue off and choke on it? Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway, he got what was coming to him. Okay. So, back to the scene that you hate when he's eating the cop's face. Do you know what I think is absolutely chilling about that scene?
That he's eating the guy's face?
No, after that. After that, he just sits down at the desk and he's sitting there listening to his music as if nothing ever happened and this is a totally normal occurrence. That's what makes it so chilling. That's what sends the little shiver of ooh, down your spine, is because he's so normal. And then on a dime, he's Hannibal.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's what makes him such a good anti-hero. I don't think he's a villain. I think he's an anti-hero. Buffalo Bill is the villain of this story.
Interesting.
I don't think he's the villain. He's an anti-hero. He helps Clarice in a convoluted kind of non-helpful, helpful kind of way. He wants her to figure it out for herself. He doesn't want to give her the answer. He's making her a better cop.
True.
So, I think, or FBI agent.
Yes.
But I don't think Hannibal is the villain here. Buffalo Bill is definitely the villain here. I mean, he is the one that captured Catherine.
Yeah.
And he's the one who held her in the pit. Right?
True.
It puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. Speaking of the pit, I was really sad when Catherine, made Precious, fall into the pit. My heart actually started hurting so bad. I was okay, I get it. You gotta do what you gotta do. However, don't hurt the puppy. The puppy did nothing. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me really sad. Fun fact, Precious's real name is Darla.
Interesting.
Yeah. Thanks, Amazon.
Thanks, Amazon. Jeff Bezos.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Yep. Okay.
How long have we been recording?
Way too long.
My God. An hour and 30 minutes.
We're almost done. Okay, so you know the scene when all of the cops think that Hannibal Lecter is on the roof of the elevator?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if you noticed, but all of the cops, like the one guy is like, go, and all of the cops rush into the elevator so fast, and there's just this one guy holding this tiny dinky little ladder, and he just goes, think, and he like climbs up, and I think... I
did not notice that.
Oh my gosh. I could not hold it together. I was laughing so hard.
Is that kind of like the stormtrooper knocking his head?
Kind of, but not really. It's a totally different thing. It's like this really intense moment, and he's like so intense, but he has this tiny little ladder.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Kind of. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of similar. But it's not exactly the same. Because it's like, he's like a very serious, like, this is a very serious situation, and this is a very tiny ladder. It's like, have you ever seen somebody take, like, a small task and take it, like, way too seriously?
Yes.
That's what it is. Like, yeah.
Every day.
No. But, like, in a comical way. Like, his task was to make sure that ladder was there, and he just... I can't even explain it. You guys just have to look it up. It's just... You're
saying that my stupid tests aren't comedic?
Well, like, sometimes, yeah. I mean, however, I'm not there to watch you do them. It's like the physicality. It's the way he does it. It's like the pressure of the situation combined with, like, the intensity of which this tiny ladder is opened. Like...
I rubbed my eye in my contact blue for a second. I was like, I can't see. I'm good.
You're like, I'm blind. Let's see.
Visual viewers. What? Okay.
You good?
Said visual viewers. I meant visual listeners. But I said visual viewer.
Okay.
Visual listeners of the podcast on YouTube will see my face when I thought I lost my contacts out of my eye. Because Gabby's laughing in the corner, and then I'm just like...
The panic. Yeah, it was a moment. We had a few moments tonight, haven't we?
We have.
We've had some moments. I think.
So, what would you rate this film?
I was just going to say, I think we both need to go to bed, so let's keep going.
Yes.
I give this movie 10 out of 10. I know I wrote 9.75.
I'm going to take your score.
Okay.
You're 9.75.
I love this movie.
So what do you think the critic and the audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes
I feel like it's bad, honestly.
Okay.
Maybe not. I don't know. That face told me no. Let's see. I think the critic rating 87.
Okay.
Audience 90.
Critic is a 96, and audience is a 95.
Dang. Okay, that's a pretty good rating.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Ow.
That's why I laughed. Was like, I realized how similar the two of them were.
Yeah, that's a fair score. It's a very good movie.
There's a 1% difference between the two.
Yeah, no, for a good reason. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just really love this movie, and I'm so glad we got to talk about it, and I'm really glad I got to watch it again, because the first time I watched it, not gonna lie, I was pretty gone. So...
Shall we see them in the outro?
Hold on, let me make sure there's nothing else I want to talk about. Oh, okay. One more thing. The other inmates at the psych hospital, I think they're like 10 times scarier than Hannibal.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Hannibal is supposed to be like this big, scary guy. And they make him out to seem like he's this big, scary guy. But, like, he's really not.
No.
Like, people always are like, oh, it's Hannibal Lecter. And it's like, ooh. And it's like, honestly, I would be down to, like, sit and have a conversation. Obviously behind glass with Hannibal Lecter. Like, yeah. I would talk to him. Just so I can hear, I would be like, say it. So he'd go, Clarice. I love the way he says her name.
Let's see them in the outro.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in the outro. That was really weird.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Fan Fatales. Gabby, would you like to tell our lovely audience what we will be chatting about next week?
Yes, next week, sadly, is the end of Halloween Spooktacular. Well, I guess it means it was this week. This is the last Halloween Spooktacular episode. Big sad. So we're going to be going back to a little bit of normalcy.
Going back to Hogwarts.
We're going to going back to Hogwarts.
Going back to school.
Yep.
Going back to
Hogwarts. Yeah. We're going to go back to Hogwarts. We're going to talk about some Harry Potter stuff. As we have mentioned a little bit earlier, we're going to talk about a little bit about some Fantastic Beasts. And a few other fun things. So stick around for that.
And remember to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And subscribe to us on YouTube.
Please leave us a review and comment down below to tell us what you thought of the show. And remember to follow us on Instagram at FamFatalesPod for the latest updates and to possibly be featured in a future episode. Now, Emma, where can the people find you on social media?
So my Instagram and TikTok are both at SnippyEmma, which is SNIPPYEMMA. What about you, Gabs?
I'm at Gabby Gent on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. That's GABYJENT.
Our music is by our amazing friend Maddie Macon.
And our editing is by the amazing and wonderful Carolyn Meyer.
As always, thanks for tuning in. Bye!
Bye! The opinions expressed in this episode are expressly our own and do not reflect